kickoffs were not a thing for us. And it just felt like there was quite a few things that we wanted to improve. Obviously, it started with messaging, but then it was, hey, now that I'm selling a platform, our motion before was really demo, quote, and close. And we needed to open that up, right? Obviously, we have a velocity game with our small business portfolio, but as we go up market, those conversations need to change. And we need to change the way we ask questions and get information out so we can provide use cases. So that was another catalyst of like why we need to do this and bring in some training.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elay Cohen, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Saleshood. Excited to be here today. Excited to have a conversation with Cory Ayres from ActivTrak. And the conversation today is all about sales kickoffs and what sales kickoffs should, could, would look like in 22. Now, we've got some experience with kickoffs, and so does Cory. But we're going to focus today. We got three parts to today's live webinar. Number one, we're going to talk and share some insights and some themes that we're seeing. We ran a survey. We're running a survey, and the survey is in the feed. You can get in there if you haven't filled it out. And we are collecting data from hundreds and hundreds of professionals around the world to understand how they're thinking about their kickoffs, virtual, hybrid, what topics. So we're going to go through, we're going to give you a sneak peek, number one. But number two, the highlight, the spotlight is Cory. And Cory's going to walk us through how he and his team ran a hybrid kickoff just a few months back in his new role as VP Sales over at ActivTrak. And then finally, we're going to leave you with some tips and some very actionable things that you can take to your kickoffs as we turn the corner on the new year. And so we're excited to have you again. My name's Elay, and Cory, why don't you say hello and tell folks a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, you got it. Well, hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Elay, I'm thrilled to be here today to talk about this topic, super passionate about it. But hi, everyone. My name is Cory Ayres. I'm the VP of Sales here at ActivTrak. We're an Austin, Texas-based company. I am originally from the Bay Area, so I keep it real. You can see that Steph Curry jersey in the background, so I know where my roots are. But thanks for having me today. And just a quick plug for ActivTrak and who we are. So these are interesting times, right? And here at ActivTrak, what our purpose is we're empowering the workforce to work wiser. You guys have all heard how right now companies are trying to reshape the future of work, and we're playing a part in that. So if you think about employees gaining insight on how productive they are, you think about managers being able to have data to coach their employees better. You think about human resources who are worried about employees burning out or onboarding and ramping quickly. You think about operations teams that are, figuring out what does my tech stack look like, and are the applications that I'm providing to my employees useful? Are they being used? You think about IT and looking at, folks are out there remote. Are we staying compliant? And in the end, you think about executives and the challenges that they're faced with around the future of work. Do I go back to the office? Do I stay remote? Or do I take on hybrid? ActivTrak helps with all those things, but look forward to the conversation today.
Awesome. I appreciate you. And Cory is a super accomplished sales executive, been around many companies back from the early Salesforce days. We collaborated when he was at Host Analytics, which is now called Plantful, and he's Pendo and now ActivTrak. We're talking like a seasoned, sales executive who's passionate about developing their teams, crushing their numbers, really making an impact and a difference. And it's great that you found ActivTrak and they found you, because you're already making a difference. And so again, thank you so much for being here. What was interesting about why Cory is, normally when we run these webinars, we have enablement folks or ops folks. And, for this one, because Cory just went through a hybrid at Kickoff, and because he's got a very forward-looking view into what great looks like around enablement, we thought let's bring Cory in to share his story, because this is inspirational for enablement folks and ops folks and for other sales leaders and CEOs out there. And we hope you find this valuable, because we really want to answer some basic questions. What should a SKO look like in 22, right? And so we asked this question broadly. And Cory is going to share what it looked like for him and what it's going to look like for him as he does another one in another month or so. But let's look at some of the survey results. So we ran a survey. Before I go to the survey, sorry, excuse me. I think I did want to share this framework, and I think this framework represents best practices, and it represents how we should be thinking about our kickoff experience. And our kickoff experience isn't just what happens at the event, right? It's great. You're going to run an event. You're going to have an inspirational event, and you're going to have great speakers and great content, and people are going to feel rah, 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 regardless of whether you do it in person or not. But really what matters is you're setting your team up for success by giving them the right kind of pre-work. Asynchronous learning, peer collaboration, recording win stories, recording pitches, doing some of the theory that you don't need to do when you bring people together. Right. And so as each of you are thinking about your kickoff experiences, think about it being three pillars. There's pre-work, there's the actual event, and then there's post-SKO. And if you can really hone in on these three pillars, I think you're going to have an amazing experience with great outcomes. This is a framework that's worked for me over the years. It's worked for many of our customers. And Cory, how about you? This is something briefly, like something that, what do you think of this framework?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, when I put together the October kickoff, you were the first person I called to make sure that I think about a framework before I go into it, because there's so many people involved. You want to make sure that sales professionals and anybody who's customer facing takes as much as they can out of an experience like a kickoff. Perfect.
I think it's great. And, and so I appreciate the outreach, and it's always great to collaborate. And we've collaborated a lot over the years. It's been great.
Yes, we have.
So this is a framework, right? And we've got ebooks on the framework that we're gonna, you can get. There are blogs written. There's a chapter in my book about this framework, but it's proven. And I'll just share one quick story. When I was at Salesforce, I remember sitting with Mark Benioff, and we were in his conference room, and we were planning a kickoff. I don't know, it was a 2008, 2009 kickoff. And these were amazing kickoffs. And I was trying to jam in so much into the actual event, into the agenda. I was trying to do training and education and certifications. And he kind of said, stop. You can do that before the event and after the event. But the purpose of the event is inspiration. And we need to drive inspiration by getting folks inspired about the future of our business. And we need to get folks inspired by learning from each other, hearing each other's stories. That stuck with me, Cory. And it's.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, if I look at the three reasons that we wanted to do a kickoff in October, the first was just isolation. We're a remote first company, and people are out there isolated, right? Whether they're new or they've been here, they were missing that camaraderie. And the kickoff to me was important to bring people together, whether in person or remote, but just to bring that energy together, especially going into our fourth quarter to finish strong. That was one of the critical points of creating an October kickoff.
No, I love it. It's great. And it was great. And we're going to hear all about it, folks. We're going to get into the detail of it because it's a remarkable story. And so what I like to do is kind of jump into some of the insights, because I want everyone to remember that framework and think about everything we've talked about right now. And the right balance of pre-work versus post-work, the right balance of inspiration, and what Cory just said around bringing people together. Now let's see what 125 plus folks have said over the last 7 days when they completed the survey. Again, the survey is in the feed. You can, submit it. And then this week, this will become an amazing asset for everyone. So you can really make a difference in your team with your organization. But let's go take a peek. And so first of all, here's some highlights. So 46% of the people surveyed said that they're going to do a hybrid SKO. So almost half, right? So we're not all coming back together so fast is kind of what I'm seeing there. 40% of the folks believe one of the challenges of running a successful kickoff is going to be Zoom fatigue. That was a really big deal last year, and it continues to be a big deal this year. And check this out, 88% of people said that they want to energize their teams with their upcoming kickoffs. These are some highlights. We're going to go into the detail of any of these. Any of these stand out to you, Cory?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we have an upcoming kickoff for January. We will be doing a hybrid SKO like we did in October. So we're going to have quite a few folks come and visit with us in person. And then we're going to have quite a few folks that are going to do it remote, which is totally okay in these times. That's just the way of the world. The Zoom fatigue is real. It is. That's where you see a lot of people burning out, is either, Zoom or email. It's a lot. So you got to be mindful of it for sure.
Yeah. No, totally. Sorry, I didn't mean to flip forward there.
No. And then, I mean, lastly, the best thing, we had after our kickoff in October, our CFO, who's putting money towards these events, said to me, we need to think about doing these every quarter. And for us, we're not traveling, visiting clients. That's just not a thing for us right now. So why not consider putting that money into kickoffs on the regular so that you can keep your teams energized, especially going back to, where folks feel isolated.
So enablement folks, listen closely. This is the VP sales who is, running, chasing the number, developing the team, accountable to the board, saying, this is so important. I'm willing to take people out and invest in this kind of experience quarterly. It's almost like a modern new version of a QBR, but in a much more structured, controlled, and measured way.
100%.
Is what I'm thinking. So let's dig in. We asked a question around themes. So we just grabbed all their answers. They're anonymized. Check out some of the themes, everyone. A couple stand out to me, but I see smarter, I see stronger, I see better together, I see own it together. I see one unit, there's a lot of togetherness here. There's a lot of people wanting to feel like they're part of a team. That's why that peer collaboration before, during, and after the event, regardless of how much of it is happening, is so critical. But hey, for those of you looking for a theme, here's some interesting hot off the press ideas. What stands out to you, Cory, when you see these?
I mean, definitely the together one team. If I go back to days in San Francisco, we used to have everybody was in office, cubes were, all over the place, and you can easily turn to your partner and either hear them on a call or you can ask them a question. And you just felt that energy, right? You'll hear executives talk about, gosh, I miss the days of walking the floor and I hear the buzz of people on the phone. Yeah. And it just brings up that level of energy. And we're all looking to figure out, how do we maintain that in a remote environment? So to me, what sticks out here is how do we continue to get people together to keep that energy going?
I love it. It's true. And I can remember those days. There is a question, which is, when you're in a hybrid experience and you've got some people that are in person, some people that are remote, let's just talk generically now. How can you give everyone a voice? I'm going to share first. And so the beauty of doing pre-work, where you're having people record their win stories, having people record pitches, having people do, like recognition videos, everybody is asked to do that. So you're normalizing and you're creating a complete inclusive way for folks. So if you're doing video-based storytelling, and then what you can do is you could grab those videos and insert them inside of your kickoff experience. That is one way that you can absolutely give everyone a voice. We do have a slide on diversity and inclusion in a moment. Cory, how would you answer the question? I'll read it again. When you think about the people who are remote versus those in the room, how do you ensure they're engaged and voices are heard?
Yeah, I do also concur with the pre-work to get people engaged in the beginning in many ways. So you can call them out during the kickoff and bring up their videos. But I would also say a couple things on that front. One, you do have to think about the space that you're going to have the kickoff in. You have to think about technology, and you have to shoot, Eli, when we worked with each other at the October kickoff, we did role playing and we did breakout rooms. And so we were incorporating people that were remote and in the office by doing just that, having more breakout sessions where people remote felt like they were engaged. And that to me was an easy way to feel like people had a voice. And I feel like our presenters were very good at talking to the audience that were remote, making sure that we're answering questions and hearing what they had to say from their participation being remote.
Okay, program trends. This is an interesting thing. So we asked folks what's going to be in your program, and everybody included the regular stuff like agenda, speakers and inspirationals. But the things that stood out to me and the data that we're sharing and the impression we want to make in everyone is this is surprising. This is a lost opportunity. Only 20% are going to do pre-work and 13% are going to do SKO work, going to do post work. So what's your advice to folks when you see this, Cory?
Yeah. Okay. So this is key. I mean, look, this is an ongoing thing, right? This can't just be, we go to kickoff, we do the raw stuff, we learn a little bit, and then we bounce and forget it all. It's so important. Right now we are planning, we have been since October, planning for our January kickoff, right? And we're doing it with the likes of Elay, who plays a part in it. We're doing it the likes of marketing, our executive team, and we're doing it with our sales team. We do stand-ups 3 times a week. We have a once a week all hand meeting, and we start doing pre-work in our weekly lives. On top of that, man, we after kickoff, after our October kickoff, it was so important, and that from what I mentioned to you, was that we maintain the training sessions going into fourth quarter. Obviously, we've got to close deals. We've got our day-to-day stuff that we've got to do, but it is so important to make sure that what you learn at kickoff continues throughout the time that you are a customer-facing employee. And so, we have a sales enablement leader now in our organization because we believe in training and onboarding, and we have a lot of video content, use case practicing, pitch deck practicing that we are doing post sales kickoff that has made a tremendous impact. And our CEO, we have Chorus, y'all, so we listen to our calls. Our CEO has commented on noticing a difference in how we talk to our prospective clients, and she sees the note-taking in Salesforce much more clearly.
The quality of the note taking since you ran your kickoff, and you're reinforcing it. That's awesome, man.
Yes.
Amazing.
Been awesome. So critical. This needs to improve.
Yeah. And listen, everyone, please, listen to the story. We're going to get into the detail. You're going to hear the end-to-end program of all the pillars that Cory and his team rolled out, but it's their fast path to success and the ability to visualize and measure the impact and see the impact in terms of better quality pipeline is only, more meetings scheduled, all the expected leading indicators you'd expect to see is only possible because they invested the time to develop the pre-work and the post-work. So encourage everyone to rethink your strategy here. And so an inclusive agenda, host cross-team breakouts, create role-based content. You can see here the percentage of strategies that folks are doing are broken down. What's your perspective on, inclusiveness of the broader organization in a kickoff?
Yeah, I think it's critical, right? I would say one of the biggest issues that organizations have when you're remote is communication. And it was a lot easier going back to the office thing, right? Where you can easily pop into somebody's office and talk about stuff. Communication's hard when you're remote. And when you have these types of events, this is a great opportunity to bring people together, bring different functions together. And so we are striving to make sure that we have in everybody's included, that obviously makes sense to be included, but we have folks like customer success, onboarding, which think about professional services, training, product, engineering, our lead gen program, our sales development, executives, management. Everybody throughout our organization is playing a part in kickoff. And this is easy for you to, a lot of times there's content where everybody can sit in on, but then that's when you have your breakout sessions, right? But then you bring it back and you talk about what those breakout sessions did and what they included, and share with everybody so everyone understands kind of what's going on in the organization.
What did you walk into and what problems were you trying to solve with your kickoff? Let's start there.
Yeah, you got it.
Then we can dig into the program.
Yeah. So, for everyone on this call, I am new to ActivTrak as their VP of sales. I'm in my 5th month, right? And so with that, obviously anybody new kind of goes around and tries to talk to everybody in their team on, hey, what's working, what's not.
Yep.
And the 3 reasons why we had a October kickoff was, 1, I talked about it, isolation. People felt like they were alone. 2 was the fact that they felt like they weren't learning enough. And a big part of what they want to accomplish as professionals is the ability to get better at their craft, right? So learning and ongoing learning. And there's, we're a startup. So bigger organizations have that luxury, but as a startup, you got to figure out a way to also educate your employee base, whether it's internally or externally with experts like yourself, my man. And then 3rd, we were a point solution and we are now a platform. And when you went around to all of the different people in the organization, everybody was saying something different about who we are, right? Our mission statement was in question. When you asked, what does ActivTrak do? You got different answers. And we saw it on chorus calls. You can hear it. And so we needed to figure out, hey, listen, we're now a platform. We've got use cases and themes. We got different personas. We've got to bring all of us together and get on the same page as to who we are and what's the value that we're going to deliver based off of the challenges that we're seeing in this market. And so that was those 3 things were a big reason why we brought the team together in October.
For a kickoff. Amazing. And so how did all that information inform kind of your program and what your strategy was for the kickoff? And walk us through it, right? Like how many days and how many people, if you could share some of those details so folks can understand scale.
Yeah, of course. And look, I go back to the days of Salesforce, and I remember when we were a CRM company and predominantly Salesforce automation, and we were becoming a platform. And Elay, you helped us introduce new methodologies like selling through curiosity, right? So going and asking open-ended questions.
Yeah.
That was a big aha moment. Like, hey, I've seen this movie before. I want to fix it based off of what I've seen and work with experts like yourself, because that's what we're going to get. That's what we're going through right now. So that was a big moment. We're a 50-person sales team. We're 200, almost 200 employees. So kickoffs were not a thing for us. And it just felt like there was quite a few things that we wanted to improve. Obviously it started with messaging, but then it was, hey, now that I'm selling a platform, our motion before was really demo, quote, and close. And we needed to open that up, right? Obviously, we have a velocity game with our small business portfolio, but as we go up market, those conversations need to change. And we need to change the way we ask questions and get information out so we can provide use cases. So that was another catalyst of like why we need to do this and bring in some training.
Right.
And then, one of the other big things was we were going to create an outbound motion. We were an inbound company, which we all love, and that still exists. But now we're creating an outbound motion, just like we did at Salesforce back in the day when we were predominantly working with SMB and mid-market, and we were going to the enterprise. We introduced an outbound team. Well, we did that here at ActivTrak, and we wanted to introduce that concept to people. So how do you take a territory and develop it? How does an AE work with an SDR to, cultivate accounts? What is my outbound approach and methodology? What does my messaging look like? What do the activities look like? All those things we wanted to bring in for this kickoff as well as we go and start a whole new motion.
That's wow. I know the story. It's just great hearing it, and kudos, right? It's you're really transforming the organization, the go to market. You're transforming the mindsets and the behaviors of everyone across the board, and
For sure.
and it takes time. And so I've got some pillars that you've shared, right? So there's a messaging pillar, there's a skills pillar, there's an outbounding pillar. Those are three.
Yeah.
Maybe you can walk us through, how did you take your observations, and how did you what did your program look like? And think about that framework: pre-work, the actual event, and then post-work. Could you share a little bit about kind of how you structured it?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I gave you a buzz because we wanted to work with you guys, and I've been there before with you, and it worked. It was a fantastic experience, and I wanted to replicate it. But first and foremost, it was, hey, let's break down these three areas and let's talk about where we can improve. Like what are the challenges? What are you faced with? But then what are the things that we need to do to improve? And how do we start now? And how do we do some of that pre-work leading up to kickoff? And then how do we maintain it after kickoff, where week in and week out, we're improving our craft?
Yeah.
So, when I go back and I start with just the message, right? We weren't using presentations or slideware. We were jumping in right to the demo of the product. And, we've all seen that before, where we're showing everything, because listen, we're proud about our application. We love what we do, but we needed to take a step back. And that step back was, well, let's make sure we first articulate who we are correctly. Let's make sure we spend that 30 minutes of time wisely with our prospective clients. And let's make sure that, our message is on point. So we kind of broke it down there and worked on what are some of the steps that we can do to improve that. And literally it's one, let's create a pitch deck. Let's make sure our message is on point with our executives and who we are inside the organization. And then let's have these guys practice ahead of kickoff and start getting used to just getting the repetitions. And so that when we get to kickoff, we can do role plays where it's a little bit more easy and fluid
and familiar.
Had certain training beforehand.
Yeah, and familiar. I love it. And so, your first pillar was really focusing on the messaging. And focused in on the skills. I think you're able to introduce concepts before the kickoff around curiosity and discovery, and really just trying to up-level how they handle that first 5 minutes of a call, right? Because, and so you introduced that beforehand. So when you showed up for your kickoff, it was game on. Let's start role-playing, folks, right?
That's right. And so when it came to, selling through curiosity and just being genuine around open-ended questions, y'all have heard that before. This was, not completely foreign to our team, but it was sort of like, oh yeah, I've heard about that, or I've applied that at another job. I kind of forgot about that. And so when we, brought it to their attention and we started the pre-work process, it was again, that familiar, okay, that cadence. Okay. Yes. I understand. This makes sense. Oh, it's more simple. I don't have to put a ton of thought. I'm getting a list of sort of open-ended questions that help guide me into what I need to say.
Yeah.
And then when we got to kickoff, it was like, all right, let's practice this in an open forum. We're going to have people that are remote chime in and do it, over the web, over Zoom. And then we're going to have people come up in person, come on stage and do it. And, in Austin, we like to get weird. So we certainly, we got weird and we had fun with it, and it was a blast. Good. And everybody felt it immediately, like that afternoon when we were done. That was one of their best takeaways is, wow, that was super impactful on getting comfortable with asking opening questions and understanding why my customers or prospective customers came to ActivTrak.
Yeah, you did a great job because you did it over a few days, and you would have some content delivered by an executive or by a team, and then you'd break off for a couple hours and do role playing, keep the energy moving, get folks practicing, and then do some more content, and then boom, do another 2 hour. So you were shifting the energy, keeping folks attentive and fresh with what you were trying to accomplish. So kudos, really, it was nicely done. And then post, we'll just touch on post for 1 second. I know post, now you're running everyone through pitch practice drills where they're practicing and recording their use cases and everything. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, you got it. So, I told you guys we were a point solution. Now we're a platform. We really have 4 pillars to our platform. And so what we wanted to do after kickoff, leading into into December and wrapping up the year, was we wanted to have our team practice each pillar, each use case in those pillars, not only from a talk track, but also to present it and also to demo it, right? So our sales engineers, they were also involved working with our reps in conjunction so that we can have the full pitch locked and loaded so that we all as an organization, everybody felt comfortable with them talking to prospective clients. And so each week we would roll that out. We would have our experts do the talk track and the demo track. We'd record it. We give it to them. We are Saleshood customers, which we love. We would then have the team go into Saleshood, do their videos. We would all rate them. We brought in our product marketing team to help rate them because they help us with the pitch deck and content. So we brought in product to hear how our team is pitching. And everybody, not only does the team get more comfortable, but everybody around them feels like, wow, this team is starting to pick it up quickly. And I trust when they go out there on calls that they're saying the right things or asking the right questions, et cetera.
Kudos to you and the team and really driving change. Couple more questions, and then we're going to get to the third part of this, which is kind of some takeaways for folks. You touched on how sales had helped. I think I would love to just hear like how think about the whole program. So how did we help? How did the Saleshood kind of sales enablement platform really help you do this at scale? How did it help?
Yeah, I mean, for me, first and foremost, right? Salespeople need to get out of their comfort zone, especially younger sales professionals, and they need to get used to presenting, right? And I remember I used to tell my teams, hey, you should practice with your family members, right? You should join organizations that help you with presenting. Give a speech at dinner with your friends just to get familiar with it. Well, first and foremost, to me, Saleshood is a great platform that gets you over that hump of not being comfortable in pitching. And so that to me was number one, getting comfortable with it. And we had fun with it. We had people dress up and or be outside, be on a bike, what have you. There's a lot of things you can do creatively. But then it's just, fine tuning, right? We're all busy during the day. So our management team, our executives, everybody can contribute in fine tuning that pitch. So like, hey, I'd probably say this next time or say that. And the Saleshood platform gives you a great sense of like the analytics behind it around kind of what's going on, time, pitch, like your tone, do you fluctuate, et cetera. So all of those things to me empower these customer facing reps to get the feedback that they need to, tighten up their craft.
Awesome. I'm really glad that we're able to make this happen for you. Let's talk about impact. So you've hinted a little bit before. What are some of the impacts that you've seen, since you launched this hybrid scope?
Yeah. And in what, 2 months, or not even that, we're almost 2 months away from what happened, but, our outbound team, is starting to, create outbound opportunities with messaging. So we're starting to generate pipeline going into Q1.
Awesome.
Our deals are getting bigger, because we are asking those open-ended questions, which leads us to more departments that we're bringing into our sales cycle that broaden that, especially in our enterprise space. I told you we deal with HR, operations, and IT. In many ways, back, call it a couple months ago, we were just selling IT. Now we're broadening our story. And so our deals are getting bigger, which is great. And then I would say, we also, prior to Kickoff, we didn't have a tight sales methodology. We didn't have a tight qualification process, and now we do. And so we're asking the right questions to make sure that our pipeline is clean, which it's never been cleaner. We're working on opportunities that should be in the funnel.
Yeah.
And we're avoiding the ones that shouldn't be. And so close rates are starting to improve, which is exciting to see.
There was a great energy. So congratulations. That's kudos to you and the team. And I know you're just getting started.
Yes,
can we talk about culture for a second? I'm curious, this peer-to-peer and, folks recording videos, recording stories, recording use cases, folks giving each other feedback, doing this role play. Like, how did that affect your culture, this peer-to-peer?
Yeah, I mean, so positively, and no baloney here, right? And I'll date myself back to when we did it at Salesforce with you. I obviously, when it comes to certifications or presenting and getting feedback, sometimes reps can have heartburn over it, right? They're like, oh, got to do this. But the aftermath is always the same. Man, I'm so glad I went through that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you pushed me to pitch or do an objection handling in front of people or what have you, or certified me. I'm so glad you did that because I'm better for it. I've learned a ton, and I can feel that impact when I'm talking to clients because I'm generating more pipeline and I'm getting deals done quicker. And so I remember doing that and having angst over it and then feeling great. And I'm seeing it in the team where at first it's like, oh, and then afterwards it's awesome. And which was a big part of, when I talked about initially what people wanted out of a kickoff and in general was they want to learn, they want to get better. So, yeah.
Thank you, Cory, for sharing your amazing insights and experience, and looking forward to bringing you back to talk about the continued growth and momentum with your business. Amazing. And congrats on the new role there and the team. We're going to take questions. So if folks have questions, please put them in the feed and we'll take them. I got the last piece here is, all right, so what's next? And so first of all, this quote is amazing. You heard Cory, and just the most important words here are, is the before, during, and after the event, right? I just want everybody to remember this framework. It's so critical that you're thoughtful about your SKO experience and that you have a strategy that's going to cover all three. And how do you do that? We've got, 10 ways that you can create a kickoff experience that's going to have the same kind of results and impact that Cory shared, right? You got to get a theme that's aligned with your culture. The theme needs to map to the goals and your specific revenue goals that you're trying to get everybody that you're trying to accomplish, get everybody aligned. Your go-to-market, you heard Cory talk, product marketing, product, executive team, sales leaders, everyone needs to be aligned on the messaging and what you're trying to accomplish. And then create a multi-week calendar, right? You got a week before, the week of, and then a month afterwards. Figure out the right amount of time that you're going to dedicate to this, but do it. And then establish a micro learning schedule where you're not fire hosing everyone. You're really providing them with, bite-sized content. And Saleshood helps do that elegantly and beautifully. And then provide meetings in a box or coaching huddles for your manager so they can reinforce and provide them that feedback and get folks even more comfortable. And then, the pitch challenges are amazing. And then there was a question around, how do you engage people before an event if you're kind of doing a big reveal at the event, which makes a lot of sense. If you're revealing a big pitch at the event, well, guess what? You can have folks record win stories. If you have a goal for the year, let's just say the goal for the year is accelerate. You can have people record videos around how they're going to accelerate in 22, or win together. You can have folks record. So there's so many ways you can use video storytelling to drive inclusiveness of voices and get momentum going and get the peer to peer happening way before. Celebrate wins and key wins. And then, listen, Cory knows, and he can see the impacts, and he knows, hey, I ran this training and look what I'm seeing. I'm seeing lifts in pipe, meeting scheduled, deal size, sales cycle time. And so, some of you that have, 1,000+ people, like, you're going to need to have a little bit of automation there for the correlation. But the most important thing is, you're going to follow that process. And then you need a system like Saleshood that's going to help you scale, right? You can't correlate the performance data. You can't know what your people are thinking and doing unless you're having them pitch practice, unless you're actually having them go into the system, record their pitches, you're transcribing, they're getting feedback. That's data, and that's emotion that you need to capture so you can correlate to performance data, whether it's meeting scheduled. And skills training, you want to make sure, like, you got to do more than just rolling out like skills training and have someone show up and teach people how to do discovery. They need to watch the videos, and they need to do the role playing, they need to practice, and you got to measure it, and you got to measure the improvements across the way as well. And then you want to be able to record win stories and capture all that information. And so with Saleshood, if anyone wants to see Saleshood in action and how we can help support your kickoff, I encourage you to talk to one of our experts. We have a SKO program, which will bring these 3 pillars together in an end-to-end sales enablement platform designed for you. And pitch practice, skills training, win stories in a box. So it's SKO in a box. And that's it. I want to take a moment and thank my friend Cory. Thank you so much for coming and joining and sharing and being here with us. Any final words?
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. It's a ton of fun. I always enjoy our conversations. Look, and if anybody wants to talk to me about Saleshood, I'm a 2-time customer. I'm happy to talk to you about it. And then I certainly encourage you guys to hit me up about sales kickoffs. We're all open-minded these days. The challenges are real with remote and hybrid. And so, as let's share best practices out there. Would love to hear what's working for you guys, and appreciate the time today, and happy holidays, everyone.
All right. Thank you. And everybody, listen, we are here. My team and I are here to support you, whatever your strategy is. We hope you've walked away with some tips and some specific tactics that you can do, and some strategy that you can do to help execute a home run kickoff experience with you and your team. So Cory, thank you. Team ActivTrak, thank you. And just want to wish everybody absolutely happy holidays and be safe out there.